Welcome to Permission to Be Human, the podcast. I'm your host, Mel Findlater, mother, coach, and curator of Permission to Be Human, the company and community. If you're a mom, know a mom, or want to be a mom, and you crave getting out in the world to make a difference, then you're in the right place. This is a space for moms like you to connect with yourself, your purpose, and your big, audacious dreams. Because when you feel your best, you can better you, your family, and the wider world. Let's do this. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I am here with just me again today to talk to you about a concept that came up in a recent episode with Sue Deagle, which is this idea that, so often we say our resistance in starting something new or trying something out is, I don't have time. I don't have time. We say it all the time, right? And self-care, it's like, well, I don't have time for self-care. I don't have time to sit and meditate for an hour. I don't have time. And in this discussion with Sue Deagle, we started to tap into this concept that, is it the time that you don't have, or is it actually space that you're feeling you don't have? Space to think, space to feel, space to, have that joy, to do things that you crave and need. And the irony of it all is that this feeling of not having space is the only way to create a feeling of space is to do it, is to do the things that we don't think we have space for. So self-care isn't about what we're doing. It can look many, many different ways, but space is more about mental capacity. How much are you holding? How much are you holding in your body, in your emotion, right? How much weight do you carry that isn't even your own? It might be your worries or your anxiety or someone else's worries or anxiety, or the responsibility and so many responsibilities that we have with our children or our families, right? So much sits on our shoulders that it can feel like a weight and this heaviness. And we love our families and we love so much that then we feel a guilt around feeling this weight and this lack of space. And the reaction for myself, at least, and I think many others, is that I try to move faster and that I'm constantly thinking about the next thing. I'm very rarely in the moment when I get like this. So instead, what if we actually created space in our lives? What if we created mental capacity? What if we practiced saying no to the things that don't light us up? Saying no to the favor that someone asked you, unless it brings you joy. Saying no to the extra activity that you know your kid would love, and yet it will mean you driving around for one more afternoon in the week. Saying yes to the space it would give you to say no. And in that instance, the space that it gives your kid. So what if we can create the space that we need? The space for self-reflection, the space to feel all the feels that are so uncomfortable, and to feel joy and to play, these things often don't come out because we're running from one thing to the next because we tell ourselves we don't have time. But what it is we don't have space. We don't have the mental capacity. We're not making that space. And burnout comes along and pokes us in the side, and we think, oh, I'm doing too much. When in fact, what's really the cause of burnout is that you're not doing enough of what brings you joy. You're not giving yourself the space to dream and wonder and be curious and play. Right? So when we say things like, I can't join this group because I just don't have time, just question yourself. That might be true. And it might be that your brain feels so full that you're not sure how to decrease it and fill it with some space for other things. And there's this question for you of, what does your life feel like right now? What does your body feel right now? Does it feel heavy? Or does it feel light? And like you can bring in whatever things might come your way that will serve you. Mental health is like definitely related to all of this. When we serve and serve and serve others, and we forget that we matter, and take the time and create the space for our mental capacity to release a little bit, when we create the space for us to really lean into what we're craving right now. What is it? What is it that you're craving right now? Is it quiet space to lay down? That's my current one. Sometimes I'm like, I just got to lie down on my back. And someone might argue that I'm meditating, but I don't know what you want to call it. I just know that I want to lie on my back in complete and utter silence for like 5 minutes. Right? There are times that that's what I need to do. That's what my body is telling me. That's what I crave. And maybe yours is something completely different. Maybe you crave going for a run. And you might be saying, I don't have time, and maybe I don't have mental capacity, but when you do it, you actually feel so much better for it. Right? I could say the same. I don't have time to lay down in my hammock. I don't have time. And yet we look at these people who feel like they just have this endless amount of time in their lives. They're moms, they have their own businesses, they have 6 kids, or, whatever it is. It's not so much about time. It's about choices, and it's about how we actually connect with the time in the moment. Right? So you can go do 20 things today. And if you're constantly thinking about what the next thing is, you're never thinking about what you're doing and how do I know, just noticing what you're doing. Like, how do I feel about this in my body? Am I talking really fast because I'm actually nervous? Oh, that's interesting. Right? When you're working, work. When you're playing with your kid, play with your kid. When you're playing, doing art by yourself, allow yourself to focus on that. And it is through that and finding those moments of flow and excitement and play and joy and all of these other emotions. We see them. We see the emotions. And sometimes that'll be hard because those are like really hard feelings to move through. I've been there. We've all been there. And I will be there again. And it's through, I've been holding on to a lot of big emotions that, have resulted in anger and rage and feelings of not enoughness and so many things. And the only way I've kept getting so frustrated because I'm like, I get it. I know what it is. And I know I have these feelings and I don't know what I'm supposed to do with them. How do I move them through? Yeah, I know I'm not supposed to shove them down. How do I move them through my body so that they can go elsewhere? And the only way that I find that moves it even a little is to allow myself the space. And sometimes that's blocking off actual time. And sometimes that's checking how I'm thinking in the moment about the situation that I'm in. What am I doing? I'm sitting at my desk. I'm looking at the things around me. I'm feeling, honestly, a little cluttered about it. Right? Like, really checking in with how we're doing. And we've talked about this so many times, the mind-body connection on here, right? Really connecting in, that grounding ourselves, putting our feet on the ground, checking out where we are, looking around. The more we can practice that, the more we'll be able to create the space to feel and say yes to the things that bring us joy and no to the things that we don't think will, right? The Courage Club, which is up and running now with founding members and going to be launching for good in January, which is very exciting. We do group challenges, some of which people are like, I'm so happy I did that. I never would have done it on my own, and I was never tempted or even craved doing it. And yet I loved the fact that we all went and we laughed and we tried to do it together, right? It's about, in that instance, fulfilling the need of community and connection, and the need to learn something new, and the need to laugh and play. So I think I'll leave you with that. And just some questions to think about. Don't take me for my word. My situation may be different than yours, but leave you with the question, how often is it that you don't actually have the time for something that you really want to say yes to? And is it actually that you're feeling like you don't have the space? And if that's the case, how can you create that space? That space in your body, that space in your brain, in your awareness. And it may correlate with time, and it may not. How can we be present in each and every moment and create this space for us to do what makes us come alive? Think about what makes us come alive. Explore it. Embrace it. All right. Hopefully that bit of a ramble today was useful to you. I would love to hear what your kind of conclusions are to these questions. Like, what is the difference between space and time? And maybe there's a whole nother level and depth to this conversation that you've thought of. So, do get in touch if you ever pop me an email right on our Facebook page, Permission to Be Human. Let us know. Let me know, the royal us, what you're thinking about these things, because it's together that we're going to learn. Okay, I hope you have an absolutely fabulous rest of the day, whatever that is, and take the space that you need in whatever way that looks like for you. If you live on Vancouver Island, then listen up. This is for you. And if you don't, still listen up, because it may well eventually be for you. I have started the Courage Club. It is up and running right now with our founding members, and it will be launching for real in January of 2025. And it is a space for women to meet new people local in their area and try new things, build up that courage muscle, take fear along for the ride, and have some fun together. And if that seems like something that you are craving, that space to get out and do things that you might not otherwise do on your own, but that you do want to do, then you can do it with the Courage Club. Now, courage shows up in many forms. Sure, there's the physical ones that we all think of, but there's also social and there's emotional courage. And there's so many ways that we can show it. So you will have an opportunity to decide how you're going to do your acts of courage. Head on over to permissiontobehuman.ca/the Courage Club and get your name on the waiting list so that you can hear all about it as and when it comes up. That is it, folks. This has been Mel Findlater on Permission to Be Human, the podcast, and I am so glad that you have joined us here today and hope that you have taken away some tidbits that will help you go away, connect with your big, audacious dream, and make that massive impact in the world that you are dying to make. If you liked today's episode, please, please, please like it, share it. Think of one person that you think would also like it and send it on over to them. Let's get this out there and more moms feeling like themselves, inspired, dreaming big, and out there being them. Please do head on over to find me on Facebook with Permission to Be Human or Instagram, or you can even pop me an email and say hello at permissiontobehumanalways@gmail.com. Say hello and let me know that you listened. What did you like about it? I would love to hear. If you didn't like it, I don't really want to know. Just kidding. You can share that if you want. I would love to know, however, who you are. Let's connect. Let's find out what you want more of. I want to hear from you, and I want to make it what would be useful to you. As always, remember that you have permission to dream big, permission to feel big, and permission to be you. You have complete and full permission to be human. For real, you do.